The cameras came alive with a rush of light, the crowd erupted in applause, and the View's signature theme music faded as the camera panned across the familiar panel of hosts. Joy Behar was in her usual seat, chin slightly lifted, red glasses perched low on her nose as she shuffled through her cue cards. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back, calm and cool, sipping from her mug. The audience had no idea what was about to unfold. "Please welcome," the announcer boomed, "the one and only, Ben Stiller." Ben walked out from behind the curtain, sharp in a dark blazer and jeans, his grin polite but cautious. The applause was warm and enthusiastic, the audience clearly thrilled to see him. He gave a small wave, shook hands with Whoopi and Sunny, and then, after a brief hesitation, extended his hand to Joy. She took it, smiling tightly. The atmosphere was friendly on the surface, but there was already an edge. Ben had been booked to promote The Line of Fire, a gritty new streaming series he directed. It was a passion project, serious and dark, a far cry from the comedies that had made him famous. It was meant to show his range, his depth, his growth. But Joy Behar wasn't one to play nice when she sensed vulnerability. "So, Ben," Whoopi began, in her trademark smooth tone. "This new series, it's different from what folks usually expect from you. No jokes, no blue steel. What drew you to it?" Ben smiled. "Well, I wanted to tell a story about courage under impossible circumstances. It's based on real journalists who risked their lives covering conflict zones. It's a little darker than what people are used to from me, but..." Joy cut in, "A little darker, Ben, it's practically depressing." The audience gave a nervous chuckle. Ben blinked, not quite sure how to respond. "Well, it's not meant to be light. It's about truth, not comfort." Joy laughed, the kind of laugh that wasn't really about humor. "Oh, I know, you artists always want to make a statement. But come on, Ben, you're the guy who gave us Dodgeball and Meet the Parents. This whole, serious director, thing, it feels a little, forced, doesn't it?" The room shifted. The studio audience, sensing tension, went quiet. Whoopi glanced at Joy, then back to Ben. Ben's smile faltered. "I don't think it's forced to care about something that matters." Joy leaned back in her chair, smirking. Sure, but you've made millions making people laugh. Isn't it a bit rich to suddenly want to be taken seriously now?" The jab landed hard. Even Sunny Hostin shifted uncomfortably. Ben took a breath, his voice calm but firm. "I've been making films since my 20s, Joy. I've directed comedies, dramas, documentaries. This isn't new to me. I'm not trying to prove anything, I'm just doing work that means something." Joy chuckled again, the sound sharp. "Oh, come on, don't be so sensitive. I'm just saying, it feels like a midlife crisis kind of project. You know, look at me, I can be deep too." The audience gasped. A few people even booed quietly. Ben's jaw clenched, but his tone stayed steady. "I don't think empathy or storytelling has an expiration date, Joy. I think when you've been fortunate enough to have a platform, you should use it to say something real." "Real," Joy repeated. "What's real about a Hollywood guy trying to teach people about struggle? You've never struggled a day in your life." That was the moment the air went dead still. Whoopi's eyes widened slightly. "Joy," she muttered under her breath. Ben looked at Joy for a long second, his blue eyes steady. The tension between them thickened until even the camera operators stopped moving. "You don't know a damn thing about my life," he said finally, his voice low and controlled. "You don't know about my family, my losses, or what it took to keep going in this business. You see a face on a poster and think that's the whole person." The audience broke into applause. A few people even stood. Joy shifted in her seat, uncomfortable for the first time. "Oh, relax, Ben. You're taking this way too seriously." "I am serious," he said, leaning forward now, the humor completely gone. "You sit here every day talking about respect and empathy and kindness, but you just dismissed an entire story, and the people behind it, because it didn't make you laugh." Whoopi raised a hand, trying to calm things. "All right, let's just take a breath here." But Ben wasn't finished. "You talk about using your voice, Joy. Well, mine happens to come through storytelling. And if that makes you uncomfortable, maybe that says more about you than it does about me." The studio exploded in cheers. Joy's smile stiffened, her eyes darting toward the producer's booth as if to demand a cut to commercial. But the red light on the camera stayed lit. She forced a laugh, trying to regain control. "Well, I guess you showed me, huh? Big bad Ben Stiller putting me in my place. Backstage, the chaos was instant. The moment Ben Stiller disappeared behind the curtain, producers swarmed like hornets. Assistants scrambled with earpieces, phones buzzed non-stop, and a stage manager practically ran after him shouting, "Ben! Wait, we can smooth this out." But Ben didn't stop. He strode down the hallway toward his dressing room, jaw tight, eyes focused. Every few steps, someone tried to reason with him. "Ben, it'll look bad if you just leave like that," one of the senior producers pleaded. "It already looks bad," Ben shot back without raising his voice. "I'm not staying to make it worse." He reached the dressing room, pushed open the door, and closed it behind him with a calm finality that said he wasn't to be followed. Inside, the room was quiet, dim light, a couch, a mirror, a table with untouched fruit and bottled water. He sank onto the couch, elbows on his knees, running a hand through his hair. He wasn't angry anymore, just disappointed. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He'd come to talk about the series, about the people whose stories it honored, about the world beyond red carpets and jokes. But instead, it had turned into a performance. Joy Behar's smirk replayed in his head, that tone of casual dismissal that seemed to cut through years of effort and growth. For a moment, he wondered why he even bothered coming. A soft knock came at the door. "Ben." He recognized Whoopi Goldberg's voice immediately. "It's open," he said. She slipped in quietly, closing the door behind her. Whoopi wasn't one for dramatic entrances. She just sat down in the chair across from him, folded her hands, and gave him a look that was more concerned than surprised. "You all right?" she asked. He exhaled through his nose. "Yeah, just tired of the same crap." Whoopi nodded slowly. "You're not the first one she's rubbed the wrong way. You won't be the last. But I'll tell you, you handled it better than most." He gave a wry half smile. "Doesn't feel like it. Feels like I just walked out on national television." "Yeah, you did," Whoopi said, chuckling softly. "But sometimes walking out is the most honest thing a person can do." Ben leaned back, staring up at the ceiling. "I've been in this business since I was a kid. I've dealt with critics, egos, producers who think they know better than you do. But this smug attitude that everything is fair game for a punchline, it's exhausting." "Joy's got her way of doing things," Whoopi said carefully. "She likes to provoke, thinks it makes for good TV." Ben looked at her. "Good TV at the expense of decency." Whoopi shrugged slightly. "That's the line we walk on daytime talk. Sometimes people forget it's not just a show, it's real people sitting there." There was another knock on the door, this time more hesitant. A young assistant peeked in. "Mr. Stiller, the producers wanted to know if you'd be willing to do a quick follow-up segment. Maybe clear the air." Ben gave her a look that made her immediately regret asking. "Tell them no," he said simply. The assistant nodded quickly. "Yes, sir," she said, backing out. Whoopi smirked. "You scared the poor girl." "I didn't mean to," Ben said with a sigh. "But if they think I'm going to smile through another round of fake apologies and PR fluff, they're out of their minds." Meanwhile, out on set, the atmosphere was electric and uneasy. Joy Behar sat stiffly in her chair, her signature grin replaced by something tighter. Irritation masked as composure. She tried to keep the conversation moving, but it was obvious her mind was elsewhere. The audience had turned cold on her. "Welcome back," she said to the camera, her tone forced. "Before the break, we had a little, lively discussion with Ben Stiller. He's, stepped away for now." The audience remained silent. Whoopi, back at the table now, spoke up. "Yeah, it got a little heated. But that's what happens when strong people care about what they're talking about." Joy forced a chuckle. Sure, I just think people need to lighten up a bit. It's The View, not a therapy session." A few groans rippled through the crowd. Joy noticed, and that only made her double down. "Come on, folks, if you can't take a little back and forth, maybe daytime TV isn't for you." By the time the cameras cut for another break, the control room was buzzing. Producers knew they had a PR storm brewing. Clips of Ben walking off were already circulating online, with captions like, "Ben Stiller shuts down Joy Behar," and, "Tense moment on The View goes off the rails." In Ben's dressing room, his phone started vibrating nonstop. Messages from his manager, his publicist, even other celebrities poured in. "Dude, that was incredible. You didn't lose it, you told the truth." Finally someone put Joy in her place. He set the phone down, uninterested. Whoopi was still sitting quietly, sipping her tea. "You know," she said, You didn't embarrass yourself out there. Ben looked up. Sure feels like I did. Trust me, she said, her eyes steady. You didn't. You showed restraint. You stood up for yourself without turning it into a circus. That's rare. He nodded slowly. Thanks, Whoopi. That means a lot. You know what I think. She said, standing. You ought to get out of here. Let the dust settle. They'll spin this however they want, but the truth'll come through. He stood too, grabbing his jacket. Yeah, I think I've had enough daytime television for a while. As he walked down the corridor toward the exit, the buzz of the studio grew quieter behind him. The further he went, the lighter he felt. By the time he stepped outside into the cool Manhattan air, it was as if the tension had finally broken. A few paparazzi were already waiting, cameras flashing. Ben, did Joy apologize? Would you go back on The View? Was it scripted? He paused at the curb, turned slightly toward them, and said evenly, no, it wasn't scripted. And no, she didn't apologize. But I'm not holding my breath.